Hi, this is the video recording for our lesson today for reading. We're going to look at a process that confirms what we've been practicing about vocabulary development. So remember, we've talked about how important it is to play around with words and to make guesses about them rather than to go directly to a dictionary to look up words. When we play around with them and make guesses, the words are more likely to stay in our long-term memory rather than if we go look them up in a dictionary, which causes them generally to go only into our short-term memory. So we want the words to stick in our long-term memory because we want to remember our experience of the word the next time we encounter the word, the next time we run into it, because then we can build on or change or adjust or revise the guesses that we made before about the word and therefore learn more about the word and how to use it. So think about, as the handout for today says, as tiny children, we learn new words not by looking them up in a dictionary, but by hearing them used in the environment around us. We hear people use words in sentences and in certain situations, and we remember them the next time we hear them again. We adjust what we're thinking about. So over time, as we hear a word used over and over and over in various contexts, we come to understand what the word means without ever having anybody tell us what it means or having to go look it up in a dictionary. We continue to do this throughout our whole lives without really thinking about it. Every time we hear a word, somebody use a word in a sentence, we might wonder about that word. The next time we hear it, we can refine or adjust what we thought about it. And the more we hear the word, the more firmly we come to understand the word and how it's used. So even if we don't go look words up, this happens. This is why reading is such an important thing, as I say on the handout here. Because if we read a lot, we're likely to encounter a lot more words than we will if we're only listening in the world, and the more frequently we're likely to encounter words. And so this means the more often we run into the words, the more chances we have to adjust or confirm our meaning of what the word, our understanding of what the word means and how to use it. So look at the first set of sentences that I have here. The first one said, what we're going to do is we're going to read sentences, 4 or 5 different sentences, all using the same vocabulary word. Now, if you already know the vocabulary word, try to imagine that you don't, and let's see what happens. So the first sentence says, as I began my speech, my feelings of nervousness abated. My feelings of nervousness abated. So if we have this word abated, let's think about what other things this word might mean in this sentence. So I begin my speech, I'm nervous. As I go on with my speech, what happens? My nervousness does something, right? It does something. So this is, this is an action of some kind. It's somehow that my feelings changed. So I could, looking at the context of this, think as I began my speech, I got less nervous. I grew less nervous. Or as I began my speech, I grew more nervous. So this has something to do with my feelings changing in some way. My feelings changed somehow as I began my speech. Now, if I just figured that out or make that guess when I read the first sentence, then because I played with it, it will go into my long-term memory. And the next time I run across a sentence, I'll remember that experience and I'll be able to adjust. So this was the first time. Now, what if we run into this second next? In an hour or so, the storm would abate and they would be able to leave. So again, the storm would change in an hour or so and they would be able to leave. Well, it's not likely that they would be more likely to be able to leave if the storm got worse. So maybe the storm got better It got better somehow. It got less, the storm, right? So now we take a look at this new sentence, this new information that we have, and we see that before we thought that abated has something to do with changing, now we get this additional information that it means changing in a way that it's getting better. It's growing less, right? Less bad, growing less bad. Now, because we played around with it, we've got this information in our mind. The next time we run into the word again, we're likely to come up with a better understanding. So the third sentence says, I took Laura some homemade cookies, hoping to abate her sadness. So what am I doing? I'm hoping to make her less sad, to make her sadness less, right? To make her feel better. Right? To make her better. So this time we've confirmed what we understood before about this sentence, that to abate must mean to make something grow less or make it get better, make it change for the better. And then we'd come to the fourth sentence, maybe later, a few months later. We've got all these experiences in our long-term memory. We come to a fourth time where we've seen this word. And it says, taking pain medication can cause headaches to abate. So that means it can make the headaches less, right? It can make them get better. So we're confirming what we learned about the word before. And then again, if we run into the word a few weeks or months later, again, the crowd's yelling began to abate after a few minutes of excitement and people settled down. So again, the crowd's excitement got less, and the crowd's excitement died down, grew less, and people were able to listen. Okay, so what happened over the course of looking at these 4, 5 sentences and making guesses each time about what the sentence means, we came to a better understanding over time of what the word means. And now we can really think to ourselves, to abate means to get better or to grow less. To grow less something bad or loud or whatever. To grow less something. Okay? All right, we're going to end this video here. We'll be back in a minute. We'll try some other examples. All right.